Okay, good afternoon. At least for me. For many of you, it'll be a different time. So it might even be evening. It's Sunday, and let's do a hobby stream. I think I'm going to do one of these every Sunday, actually, about this time. This works out really well because it. I'm going to stream from 1 until 3, and then at 3 o'clock, Mitchell and I will record our weekly Sunday preview rundown, and then you'll see that about 4 or 5 o'clock once it gets edited. So, hello to Daniel Jenna Gross. I know you. I do know you, and I almost I'm not gonna lie, I almost put Bundle of Nerves as the soundtrack as a joke just for 2 people in this chat. If you know, you know. If you don't know, go watch Blight Club by Giant Bomb. Great stuff, great stuff. Hello to King of the Sea Monkeys. Oh, the Sea Monkeys. All right, so I have a... Now, one thing we're doing today is you guys are going to have to call me out on focus. Focus with the miniatures. So, someone pointed out last time, good friend of the show, Steve, a.k.a. my real-life friend Steve, pointed out that, like, hey, it turns out the mini was very slightly out of focus the entire time, and it drove him nuts. And then I watched the footage, and it drove me nuts. So, when things... we're going to be playing with focus today. I've got it set to manual focus, which means I have to, of course, a lot of this is just practice, right? Keep it in frame. But, so if the focus is bad, please let me know. All right. What we've got today is Hive Scum. Because there was a Warhammer store that opened yesterday, and you get one of these. This is a little challenge card. And basically, you get some stuff if you complete the challenge card. Now, obviously, this is marketing, right? Because, you have to paint a vehicle and monster, and you have to paint a character and terrain and 3 units. And you get, like, a pin or whatever, and, of course, you got to buy that stuff. Here's the thing. Joke's on them. I've got enough gray Warhammer plastic that I don't need to buy anything. And I'm not going to for this. But my really good friend of the show and personal friend, Kevin, is the one managing our local Warhammer store. So I want to take part in this. I want to kind of support him. He's a big part of why I play not just Warhammer, but all games. He's what you might call an instigator gamer, but I mean that in the most positive way. He's great at... He basically set up a lot of our local communities, and I'm going to help him by kind of taking part in his little endeavor. So, I don't know what Hive Scum have to do with this. I asked, and they said a gang would count as an additional unit. So I'm like, all right, so if I paint like a dozen Hive Scum... OMG Hobby Time with Soda. Hello, Sugar Candy Mentors, who just finished their own stream. I did not time it intentionally, because I didn't know they were going to stream this morning, but it worked out great that they just finished, and I just started, because I was like, oh, okay. I don't have to... I was going to have to, quietly bow out and be like, All right, so, 2 things we're doing today. I've got Hive Scum, and I've got bases. I've got Necromunda bases. 1 second. Scroll on over. Because I want to also, the thing about bases, I realized I usually wait till last to do the bases, but it's harder to do when it's Necromunda bases and you actually need to, paint them ahead of time. This is what I used to do with Necromunda bases, and it works. It's fine, but it's very bland. I'm trying to brighten it up a little bit. So, what I've got here is this was just a Necromunda base painted with warm gray, and then a splash of Sonic Tonic on it, because that's going to kind of shade it and rest it up. And I don't know what I'm going to do from there. But first, let's get some... This guy has been sitting here for so long that I don't remember what any of these colors are. Except I did this one yesterday. That is ash gray, because that's going to be like the rubber. And then I'm going to do... I don't think that blue kind of sticks out. However... I want to stick with a teal blue, so let's grab another teal. What do I got? Well, those are teals. I guess that's more of a turquoise? I get turquoise and teal confused. Yeah, that's more of a turquoise. Let's go for this. I have not opened this paint yet. This is Dew Path from the John Blanche set. Like the 4th John Blanche set, I think. So let's Sorry, using my Vortex mixer because this is a brand new bottle. All right. By some request, I did also get a palette cam going. You're going to get really mad at me for my palette cam because I'm a mess on my palette. And let's just... All right. Focus. Focus. Okay. Let's get this turquoise over whatever I had here. No! That's pretty close. Someone outside is using their leaf blower, the bane of my existence. I hate leaf blowers and want them to die. I think you should have to have a license to use a leaf blower. I'm joking, of course. This is pretty close. It's going to be a little different. I talked about this last stream. But what I like to do with my Hive Scum is they don't have to match each other. They don't have to match anything. But I like to do mostly neutral colors and then one pop color on a piece of cloth or something like that. Some would call that John Blanchian. I guess I don't pretend to be nearly as good at him as that. So. But that's kind of the same idea that I'm going for. So we're going to get a layer of that down. Oop. Too much water. That's okay. Get a little strappy. Little strappy. There we go. Little strappy. Oh, that's okay. All right, and then we gotta wait for him to dry. So, showing off some stuff that I finished yesterday. Thursday. This is Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. So this is kind of what they look like post-Sonic Tonic. You can kind of see it's got some definition in there. And so what we're going to do with her today, I think it's a her. I guess, I can be whatever I want it to be, right? Daniel says, I wish people using leaf blowers, Mary, step on the rake you should be using instead. Fiverr says, it's a nice aqua, though I like that color. Yeah, aqua is a better name for it. So Woody here, Femme Woody with a gun. I went with that ginger again for the Sunburst Ochre for her hair, because I think it looks different and good, but not... I was thinking about a cow print mohawk. I decided that was too extra for me. This is Marco, who is an in-joke, which is great. It's always great when you have to explain your in-jokes on the internet. Everybody loves that. So there's a pizza chain called Marco's, which is not local. It's a national chain. It's called Marco's. They're what's closest to us, so often when I play Necromunda at our game store, I am eating Marco's. So this is the colors of Marco's. It's basically like Italy colors, white, green, red. And I gave him a nice big he has a nice big mustache. This head is from the Empire, oh god, State Troops, or maybe the Empire. It's basically an old Warhammer Fantasy kit. But yeah, this is Marco. So this was really too bright until you put the tonic on and then it looks good. So those two are ready for their highlights, but we'll get to them later. I want to finish base coating everybody. So this guy, I think we'll do him next. Let me get a hobby handle for him. This guy just needs metallics on his chest plate. He's already got his wash as well. This guy's very drab. I didn't get a pop color for him. I guess I intended the beige to be a pop color, but then the phrase beige is a pop color is about the dumbest thing I've ever said. Beige is, there's literally a Loading Ready Run skit on why beige is not a pop color. It's beige. It's the most boring thing in existence. But that's fine. Some guys can be boring. So we're going to put a nice bright metallic on his chest. Let me see. What kind of metallics do we want to use? Oh, you know what we can do? We could use the speed paint metals if I put down a white first. Yeah, let's try. Let's do some experimenting. Fiverr. Yeah. Beige is the landlord pop color. You mean the landlord popcorn ceiling color. Angry Pants 87 says hello. Are Angry Pants? Are you a Gene Stealers player? Because jeans. Never mind. All right, so I've got Bold Titanium White, which if you need a white that covers, this is what you use. There are lots of other paints that are white that are nice. I have never found a white paint that is as nice and as covery as the Bold Titanium White from Pro Acryl. If you just need white that just goes on things and covers up that color, that is the white you use. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to undo some of our previous work. By the way, just for context, these Hive Scum I painted ages ago. These were some of the first Necromunda models I ever bought, because this kit coming out is what made me get into Necromunda. Because I was like, oh, I love all these weirdos. So I started painting them, and they're all in a half-finished state. So I'm going to undo some of the previous work I did that maybe wasn't up to the scratch of what I want to do now. And, or maybe I just didn't make decisions. Dexterello, hello, Outcast Gang. Yes and no. These are definitely in my Outcast Gang. However, I also just use them for everything, because I have Hive Scum in lots of gangs. You know, there's tactics cards, and you can just buy them, and they come up in scenarios. So that's why I'm painting these guys, is they're yes, for an Outcast Gang. Outcast Gang was what I played last time in Necromunda. I don't think it'll be what I play next time in Necromunda. I'm getting a mess here, and that's okay. We're gonna redo it. So yeah, just get all that covered up, and that's okay. We'll redo those straps. I want to redo those straps in brown anyway. Give them a little more light and color than just the black I did. I don't know why I did black on, like, just dark colors all the way down. I think I was trying to be a little too grimdark here. So yes, these guys will be used in an Outcast Gang, but also just every time I need Hive Scum. Which is a lot, because I like putting random weirdos. But we're also going to whiten up his mace here, because we're going to put a speed paint over that. And if you aren't familiar with the Army Painter metallic speed paints, you actually put them over a coat of white to get them to do their work. And we're going to try that, because I've never done it to this scale. And this is the great thing about Hive Scum. If it doesn't work out, who cares? They're Hive Scum. They're allowed to be janky and bad, right? Like, these aren't the guys who get... My Outcast Gang leaders, those are actual characters. Those guys get all the attention and love. These guys, meh, you know. Get my painting chops up. It's been a long time since I really seriously painted a gang or anything like that. And like many other people, if I ever mentioned this on their stream, like many other people, Adepticon sparks a hobby fire under me every year. But most years, it results in me talking a lot about doing things and never doing them. And this year, I am determined, bound and determined, to be a man of my word, instead of just blabbing about it. And I love nerves, I got stuck in my head now. Pop that bubble. Yeah. Painting chains is kind of annoying, because you gotta get your brush in there. His skin is going to be collaterally damaged. It's fine. I want to redo his skin anyway, because I've just... Painting non-white skin tones can be a challenge if you're like me and just want to be like, oh, just put down a single skin color. It doesn't work great for Caucasian skin tones, and then it really doesn't work for anybody else. But with Caucasian skin tones, there's so many products that are designed to let you do it in one coat that you can kind of get away with it, and... Okay, so... Bad Zone Forces still exist, and can they use Hive Scum? Yes, they do still exist, and they still can use Hive Scum. They did get... At first, in the new book, they got super nerfed, where, like, the Hive Scum didn't count against your... towards your gang limit. They reverted that in the first FAQ for that book. I don't ever see myself playing Bad Zone Enforcers again, because they are now just kind of flat worse than normal Enforcers. Now that normal Enforcers play like a normal gang that everybody else has. So, you know. But they are there. If I'm going to play a Hive Scum-based gang, I would rather play an Outcast gang. Okay. And you're splotting over all your old work. Yes, I am. It wasn't very good. We're gonna redo it. There's a nice thing about paint. People are like, you know, oh, I'm worried about painting. Just paint over it. It's fine. That's what I'm doing. Oops, he's got paint on the back here, too. All right. You gotta love all your little guys and make them special, not the leader. I got a lot of things to paint here. If they want to be special, they should have thought of that before they became peasants. Look, they're called Hive Scum, not Hive little guys that I love all of every single one of them. You know, we're gonna leave the grenades that metal. That's fine. So, do I want to redo the beige? I kind of do. I kind of want to redo the beige because it's not a pop color. But the green will be brighter. Oh, you know what this guy was? This guy was a joke on Dark Angels. That's why I painted it like that. It's the beige and the cream and the green was a Dark Angel joke. +1 landlord points. Yeah. It's the forget political alignment. It's or how landlord are you? One moment. I gotta fix something on my end on my computer. Okay, I'm back. All right, we're gonna let him. Well, let's do the beige. Now the comedy thing here would be go from beige to something like Feldgrau or something else just equally bland as heck. But he has the hood, and I feel like we should take advantage of that. So I need a bright pop color that does not. Or I could just make the green the pop color and keep him beige. What do I have for greens? Or what do I have for... No, if I'm going to keep the green, I can't really do the beige. Or I can't really pop the... So yeah, we'll just keep him beige. We'll just keep the beige, and we'll make the green brighter. And then the bright metallics will also help. So let's go up the next step of green, which is green skin. Millennial gray. I think Gen Z would be gray. That's their shtick. Is gray Abu Dee Dabu Die. Where'd my big brush go? Wait, why'd I get my big brush? This is a small brush job. So, let's go... Although those plates should probably be metal. Yeah. There we go, green. Oop, that does not cover very well. That's okay. I'll have to give it another coat or 3. Oh, did the focus? Did I lose the focus? Can't see from here. Focus. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now, there is something to be said for I could stop futzing with these guys who are already kind of done, even if they're not done to the standards that I want, and focus that same energy on painting guys who aren't even done yet, which is probably what I will do after this guy. But I already started, so. Okay. Yep. All right, now let's get... you can't tell already, I am definitely a paint messy on the initial coat and then clean up later type. There we go. Gotta tell myself to trust the process on this one, because at first my brain is rebelling against this green. It is so bright. So bright. But it's going to get washed. It's going to get highlighted, which will actually de-brighten it. Highlighting things usually desaturates them. I got to keep that in mind. So what we'll end up with is something like a faded green that was bright once, but not anymore. We got to get there. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of ugly painting, I don't know the rest of that quote, so I can't, like, riff on it. Okay. Get those greens down. It's definitely going to need a second coat. And get in there. Stab, 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 stab. There we go. Stab, stab, stab. Yeah, screw it. We're going to have to redo all this anyway. I'm going to try and keep the beige, though. Then again, maybe I shouldn't. If I'm going to have to wash everything else again, then I might as well redo the beige. Also, I don't know if I can get in here without killing the beige, so. Oh, forgot his other gauntlet. Oops. Yeah, that's fine. I'll have to redo the skin anyway. Okay, and then while we wait for that to dry, let's go back and put another coat of that white on. Nice thing about the white is it doesn't actually need to cover, or it doesn't actually need to look good or smooth, because we're going to cover it with that metallic. It just needs to cover up the other color. So it can look a little jank, and that's okay. I'm out of white. More bold titanium white. Yeah. We're going to come back to those. Not really a lot of point. Oh, was it playing ads? I didn't know it was going to do that. Oh well. I don't think I have the power to control that, because technically, remember, not my channel. It's our channel, Comrade. And by ours, I mean our producers. So literally the opposite of our channel, Comrade, because literally owned by one person. But anyway. Okay. Oh, there is that last bit I missed. Yeah. Okay. I got the green. Let's go ahead and do a layer on the... Actually, while I'm here, let's get our swatch of greenskin covered, so we know what it looks like. This is probably the paint that I need this the least for, because I know what greenskin looks like, but... Alright, so... then... that'll need 2 coats. There we go. And then while waiting for that to dry, let's go back and do his green on his second coat of his green. A little thick there, that's okay. Smooth that out. We're redoing his base coats. We can also redo his boots in a nice brown or a less black. I think I originally had orange on this guy, which was just eye-searingly bad. The green is nice, though, brightens them up. Yep, it does. And it'll get knocked back down a little by the wash, which is fine, which is what I want. I want... my vision of Necromunda is very... everything was bright colors. It's very medieval. It's kind of like how everyone talks about how medieval stuff was a lot brighter and less dingy and gray than everybody thinks it was, especially once you start getting into the Renaissance. People dressed in really bright colors when they could, until like the 1800s. People wore reds, and you know, and then you got, once you started getting into the late 1700s, early 1800s is when you started getting the kind of, oh, masculinity is drab and therefore all men must wear suits that are brown and beige and black and all that crap. But before that, people people like to be fabulous, and I kind of envision that. And Necromunda is essentially medieval. In its structure. It is literally feudalist. So I kind of like to reflect that in their colors. What was stuck to the top of the paintland? Give me just a second, I'll show you as soon as I get this color on him. It is a paint swatch that is designed to let me see what the paint actually looks like when it's out of the bottle, because most paints don't look quite like they do in the bottle. They look just a tad different. I'll show you in just a second. Let me get in there. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I think this green was the right choice, by the way, just overall. Really brightens him up. So yeah, anyway, what I was saying was, bright colors that are knocked down through grime and dirt, not everything just being gray. And if you're like, but they wouldn't have dyes and stuff, it's Necromunda, it's miserable. Yeah, I don't care. There's a reason House Escher is all in yellows, and Goliath is all in reds. It's more visually appealing. Okay, so things stuck on the top of my swatches. These are paint swatches. This is the Kraken one from Victoria Miniatures. My Games Workshop ones have these, also from Victoria Miniatures. I went with the Kraken theme for both. They have other ones. They have one which is the Monty Python, not the comfy chair guy. And she has one for her late dog as well. Basically, this is just stuck to the top here. I can remove it. Pop. And it's so that I know what it looks like. Because I like having that visual reference. Probably shouldn't have put my fingers on that one. It wasn't quite dry yet. But, you know. Let's use a different one. There we go. This lets me see what it looks like at a glance. It's also great when I have the bottles in a place where I can't see the label. I can then go, oh, that's what this looks like. Is this the techno-feudalism I hear everyone talking about? I mean, yeah, probably, like, literally. Okay, so we got the... So now that we have his greens done, we can do another last touch of white. Yo Soda says, Roz, hello, Roz. Not a little too goopy. That's fine. The one thing Monument paints I have a complicated relationship with because they're very good. I just got green on the model because it was on my finger. That's funny. They're very good. They cover it incredibly well. They're very fluid, but they're very matte. And you're like, oh, that's a good thing. It is, but that means they have a kind of a very rough matte texture when they first go on. And if you're like me and you like to use washes, that can actually be a hindrance because that rough texture causes washes to stick to the model in a way that they might not necessarily do. Sometimes, and you'll actually see this on Marco. Oh, no, you can't anymore because I put a wash on him. I don't think I have anybody else who's in that pre-state. Anyway, I'll actually put gloss varnish or satin varnish over the models, especially if I've used a lot of Monument paints, so that it'll still flow into the recesses like I want it to. Soda-themed Necromunda gang win. So the problem with a soda-themed Necromunda gang is it would just be a soda company-themed Necromunda gang. And, like, there's a joke you could make about Coca-Cola Death Squads, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, Google if you want to ruin your day. But, like, it would just be corporate, right? Because that's soda, when you pull it out of the bottle, is just fizzy liquid that is usually not even particularly attractive colors. It's just brown fizziness. And not very exciting. So I don't know how to do that without just being like, aha, here's a Pepsi gang. Which there's a time when I might have done that, but we'll use those different. And of course now this is the war I'm going to fight, being very messy, is I'm going to have to go back and forth between putting down the white and then covering up my own white that I just splotched everywhere. Because I can't really see where the line on this ends. Yep, and then I just put down too much green, so I'm going to have to cover that up with more white. This is my hell. I'm no good at this part. Yep, okay, well, I'm going to have to wait for that to dry and then put white on there. Fago gang. You mean a Juggalo gang? Then you could go Pepsi gang repeatedly and annoy everyone else in the room. I don't get the reference for Pepsi gang. I'm sorry. Plus, me being me, it would just be the Beppis gang. Because that's what I find funny, is Beppis. I don't know why. Much to the chagrin of the Beanut Putter later, who, if you know... Oh, Pepsi Man! Pepsi Man! Oh, Pepsi Man. When will Pepsi Man return? Not the hero we deserve, but the hero we need right now. Okay. Careful. Careful. So we're going to cheat a little. And we're just going to put the white on the edges of these rings. And then leave the rest of the shade, honestly. Alright, okay, that's all the white. Beige. Beige. For real, apparently there's a gathering or just a concert tomorrow in the area. A coworker who was one said he was taking the day off for it. I mean, that is cool. I think I would, like, die in a gathering of juggalos. Like, not even through maliciousness, just, like, somehow find a way to injure myself. I don't think I could hang with those folks. They would out-hardcore me very quickly, because I am many things. Hardcore is not one of them. All right, so we've got the green, and I think because we have the green, we could stay with the beige, or we could go for a slate, like a neutral gray. Can't do red, because I've already already got that. I mean, I guess we could have these guys be friends and, like, have the same color scheme, because he's also kind of green, Marco here. I could put red on the armor. I already put the white down. I'm not going to do that. I could put red instead of... he would look too Christmassy. No. I could do the darkness. You attack the darkness. I could do dark olive. Oh, but I need to think about the fact that whatever I put down also, I want to keep him with dark skin. So that was why I had the beige, because it... Yeah. All right, that answers my question. For myself. We're going to go with Tomb King Tan. Uh-oh. It's clogged. Hold on. I've got a thing for that. Haha. Oh, that is, like, clogged. Look away, kids. There we go. You're like, why'd you put a huge blob on there? It's like, because I'm going to use some of it to do the swatch when I'm done. Say that 3 times fast. Say what 3 times fast? That. Tomb King Tan? Safety pin? Oh, no. It's Tomb King Tan, 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 Tomb King Tan. See, that's the name of a character now. Tomb King Tan. Tomb King Tan, the Risen One, is the name of a lich. Oh, well, I think that's definitely the color I used last time, because that just looks exactly the same without the wash. So, hey, there we go. And we'll have to redo his belt. But now we're going to redo his belt in... Well, I was going to say we were going to redo it in brown, but here's the question. Being not a man with dark skin, is the brown belt gonna, like, blend too much with his skin? Should it be a black belt so that it doesn't, like, just look like his skin? Now, if I do a brown belt, it will be a lighter brown leather. But we'll have to see. Safety pin to the rescue. Yep, I have a whole box of them. I used to use brass rod, but that gets too gummy and doesn't have the point, and sometimes when things are bad, you need the point. Oop, I just smeared his goggles. I would say that the goggles, they do nothing, but they did do something. They got in my way. And also stopped me from getting paint in his little eyes. So, you know. Hashtag safety goggles. Hashtag PPE. I just had to take my OSHA 10 certification 2 weeks ago, so I've got PPE on the brain. I think wear patterns. Any idea how to use the new Dome Runner with long las? Here's the thing. I don't like Dome Runners, and I don't like long lases. So, yeah, as a Hive Scum. Sorry, that's the only way I can... Like, Dome Runners I don't think are great rules-wise. I don't think they have a great place. Personally, I don't... Not to say they're useless. And I do not like long lases. I feel that they are inferior to the long rifle in almost every way, except for the better ammo check. They've got a shorter range. They're not useless, though, but I don't like them. So I would just use them as a... Or, yeah, I would just use them as a Hive Scum or a mercenary with a long rifle. Just say that the long runs. Unless they told you about some special anti-cognito hazard PPE. What do you... hold on. That's not where the PPE goes, though. I think I am confused. If you're making a joke, I'm confused. Or I'm confused about what I said. PPE for personal protective equipment? I mean, goggles are PPE. Let's wait for that to dry, and then while we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to put the swatch on, although I have a feeling that it's not going to matter that much because I primed these in a neutral beige, and I think that's like exactly the same color. Which is fine. Except that it might lead me to doing this every time I pull out this swatch, because I'm like, oh, I haven't done it yet, and it's just going to end up with layers. PPE on the brain. Oh, okay. PPE on the brain. I think PPE on the brain is just my anti-anxiety medication. That's brain PPE. What hazard is it protecting from? Itself. Serotonin receptors. I honestly cannot remember whether my anti-anxiety medication is a SSRI or the other one. Which is probably a bad thing. I should probably know that. And I would joke about, I don't know that, that's not my job, I just take the pills they give me, but you shouldn't do that. You should know what you're taking. That sounds like I'm anti-pill or something. I'm not. I love my pills, especially the ones that make sure I don't have heartburn that makes me want to die. And you're like, Soda, why do you have so bad heartburn? It's like, well, my name is Soda. Because I drank nothing but soda in college, and now I have heartburn, and those are probably related. Maybe drinking, you know, sugary battery acid for 4 years isn't good for your esophagus, is my guess. Sure as heck wasn't good for my teeth. I gotta get a wisdom tooth removed on Tuesday, and I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, that's actually not related to my teeth having problems. They're actually quite okay now, because I really cut down on the soda. But that one wisdom tooth did not erupt fully, so they gotta dig it out, and it's gonna be a horror show, I'm sure. Which is why I paid extra to get nitrous up. Gas me out, and I won't care. I'm sure they love the fact that I spend all of, every time they put the mask on, I make the same Fury Road references. Pick out some detail on the bottle topper in the different colors you know it's been painted. Oh, I know! I'll paint the eyes black. I'll put little black dots on the eyes. That's a great call-out, King of the Sea Monkeys. Thank you. I'll put a little black dot on the eyes. And also make it look adorable. And provide some contrast. Hello from the UK. What are we painting? CTID? 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 We are painting Hive Scum. The scummiest of the Hive Scum. Okay, we got our second coat of beige down. Let's fix his pants. I know what color I used for the pants. It was strap gray. This is also a landlord color. Looks like I need another coat on the This is very much a, it's not black, it's close. Put some more on there. Yeah, we looked at our metrics, and like actually almost half the listeners of our channel are UK or otherwise Euro based, so we were like, we should do a stream in a time zone that is not them at midnight, or at a time that is not midnight in their time zone. So it's part of the reason why I want to do Sundays. Plus, it also just, it fits into the schedule nicely, because after this I'm going to go record a Sunday rundown. If you haven't seen that, they're releasing the Cities and Skaven box. I'm not going to go over it because I don't want to steal the thunder of the video we're going to do later. Plus, I'd have to, like, hook up a bunch of stuff, and I'm not going to do that. But, it's actually a little darker than I want. Hold on. Let's do... Oops, sorry, I bumped my microphone. Let's do dark olive, a paint I have not used yet. If you shake these hard enough, the thing flies off. I could super glue them on. Yeah, stick. Okay. Oh, there we go. See, that's got some warmth to it. And here's the funny thing about dirty grungy. And I'm going to talk more about this more when we go to the basing, what we're going to do after we put a wash on this guy. And he's already got wash in his base. We associate cool colors with cleanliness and sterility. So if you want something to be grungy, the colors you end up adding are often warm. Warm browns, warm grays, warm beiges. Rust is a warm color. So like both, here's a great example here. I've got dry rust and fresh rust from, these are old, they don't make these anymore, but the dry rust, like that is still, that's that orangey brown, and then the orange, those are both warm colors. So when we want things to look dirty and grungy, we actually, you want to avoid being too cold, which is why the gray I've used for their base is actually a warm gray, this, Pro Acryl warm gray. It's warm. Shocker. Alright, so we've got his pants. Let's do his boots. And the boots I am going to do in that strap gray, where they're just, not that. Where'd it go? There it is. Strap gray. I haven't asked anybody. Old fresh rust, yes. I haven't asked anybody. Is anybody else painting? Anybody else hobbying along? And if so, what are you hobbying along with? Now, I've said before that when I do black nowadays, I don't do black. I do a light or very, very dark gray. Which is, a Batman joke. Good afternoon, Mr. Hive Scum. Hello. He says hi. Yeah, when I do black boots now, I don't do pure black. I do a very, very dark gray, so that when you put a wash on it, it can still catch the wash. If I was the kind to manually paint in shadows, I would then paint in the black shadows. And depending on the boots, you can always... Here's the other funny thing. You don't have to do only one wash. You can do more. Just got to really make sure you wait till they dry, or you'll do some terrible tearing. Oop, missed a spot. Now, technically, these shin guards he's wearing are metal. You can tell by their texture. And we could just paint them metal. However, I really think that having that extra color down there matches, and I like that a lot. That's an interesting gourd-shaped holder. Yes, these are... Here, let me get one. These are from Jolly Lark. I like them. They were not expensive. I got them at Adepticon. Are they, like, amazing, the best painting handle ever? They're not anything special. It's just blue tack and a painting handle. If I was a skilled wood person, I could make my own. I'm not a skilled wood person, so these are the ones I made, which is just a block. And then I beveled the edges, and then I tried to put a magnet in them. That did not work. It does not help. It was not strong enough. Jolly Lark makes the my favorite terrain ever, which is the Vexed Village terrain. And I felt bad last time I went to Adepticon the year prior because I'd already bought everything else he was selling. But I liked his stuff so much I wanted to support him, so I bought the painting handles. I'm building my own dome runner inspired by the latest model. Ah, so you can give them a good gun instead of the long las. Ah, I'm kidding. Long las isn't bad. Okay, maybe it's bad. I just don't like it. I'm going to put my green skin. See, now the problem is, now that someone mentioned it, I want to go back and add little black eyes to all of my Krakens. Although that might make them stare at me while I'm painting, which is good. I need the shame. That's what this is all really about. I'm not painting for you guys. I'm doing this on stream to make me paint. Oh, I need to check out the terrain. Yes, yes. Well, it's the one that you're gonna have Roz print for you, I think. Got a 124 Scope Dog kit from Wave strewn across my desk. You could argue I'm currently building what it would be a very convincing argument. Hey, are you considering it? You're in the conceptualization stage. You're seeing it in your mind's eye. Or you're procrastinating. Either one. I'm not a cop. You want to, you do what you want with your... Get some green in there, because I'm going to... There we go. All right. So we need to do his skin, which somewhat weirdly we're actually going to do last. Yeah, Fiverr. The Jolly Lark terrain is the Vexed Village is the stuff that I originally was going to print for you, and then you're like, wait, or we could just have Roz, who is actually local to you, print it. And that's way better. And I don't mind because I get to keep all that terrain I printed, which I was going to reprint for myself anyway. I actually have some printing right now, he says, looking back at his printer to make sure it's not screwing up again. You've convinced me. I'll give him a Cruit Rifle. I like the Cruit Rifle. I'm always a big fan of anything you can use to shoot and also stab somebody at the same time. And the Cruit Rifle does that. All right. So we did his... Oh, forgot the top part of his little boots. There we go. Everyone in Necromunda, if you look closely, is wearing gaiters. And I don't know why. And I'm not painting those separate colors. Like, first off, it's really hard to have gaiters that are different colors than the boots look good. Alright, the moment of truth. No, it's not a moment of truth. I already decided. I painted the boots this ironclad gray. Which is one of my favorite colors, by the way. The strap gray. And it's called strap gray, so let's use it for straps. As God intended. And by God, I mean Games Workshop, because... I'll just quit while I'm ahead. Alright. So... Get the belt under there. We're going to have to redo the beige that I'm covering up. That's fine. It's all fine. He's got a belt buckle. We should probably put a metallic on that, but I'm going to do that with a different metallic. I give him a gold belt buckle. He's a Richie Hive Scum. He's loaded. There we go. Okay, and then we've got straps along the side here. Again, please let me know if I'm in focus or not in focus. This is inspired a Kurt Stoughton me. Crocs with Gators. Congratulations, you've given me my next Adepticon cosplay idea, Daniel. Just an Imperial Soldier, or yeah, I'm going to wear my Steel Legion again, but instead of the boots, I'll wear Crocs and Gators. Just to upset people. Gotta get in here. Here's the thing. I have smaller brushes. I could use those. I have brushes that don't have hook tips. I could use those. I'm not going to. I could use my Kalinsky Sable Hair brushes that I probably paid too much money for. Could. Not gonna. Why? Great question. Can you imagine how hard it is to put this thing on? Like, every day? Like, he's got to, like... Is it stretchy? Do you think he just, like, stretches this entire thing over his body? Does he have to have a friend do it? Once I get through these Hive Scum, I'll finish painting the rest of the Outcast gang, which is, kit bashed. And is some cool stuff. I'll get those out later. You can tell when I'm concentrating painting, because I hold my breath and stop talking. It's not actually good. Shouldn't hold your breath when you're doing precise tasks. You should control your breathing. Whether you are, doing tasks like this, or whether you're taking a shot with at a shooting or a bow or whatever you want. You don't want to hold your breath because it actually makes you less stable. You want to control it so that you're exhaling as you do the thing you're doing. There we go. There we go. Okay. And then, also like shooting, having multiple points of contact on the mini helps you keep it stored. Those big waterproof galoshes, but still with the croc holes. And the, what do they call the Croc pins, like the things that people put in their Crocs, like to the little decorators. Yeah, it's hard to define details on Steam. Yes, it is. Okay, two down, two to go. And this one's the hard one because it's mostly obscured. Doesn't help with the fact that I probably need glasses. I find myself having to lean in more than I used to. But you know, I'm 33, I'll be 34 this year. That, they used to be a third party. Yeah, Gibbets. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize Croc owned them now. Wow. I mean, I'm sure they're still, you know, third party. You can't really prevent people from making things and sticking them to their shoes. I've never owned a pair of Crocs. I've actually heard they're kind of comfy and that they're great for like convention wear because like you just need something to walk around and not have your feet be hot and sweaty. And as somebody who walked around in rain boots for a lot of Adepticon because I was in cosplay, yeah, I kind of get that. Doing the details on stream isn't hard. Doing the details on stream and keeping it in camera is the hard part. I now have sympathy for all the people over the years whom I've watched do this on camera. There's a couple tutorials I want to do on painting, and the barrier has been me being able to film it appropriately in a way that is not either A, incredibly boring, like golden rule, we don't film things we wouldn't watch, right? Like if it's something that we would click off of and we would roll our eyes at, we don't commit it to video. So and same thing here, if it's a hobby tutorial that would drive me up the wall, I'm not going to do it. Crocs are super comfy. They actually make Crocs wells that have divots where the holes would be. Ooh. Croc wellies. Oh, Wellingtons. Okay. Unironically. I didn't even think about Crocs at the con. I got that tip from Goobertown Brent. He's like, yeah, just get yourself some Crocs. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, they're super comfy. And yeah, you look dorky, but who cares? It's a con. First off, it'll help you stick out from the... I think Mitchell at one point said, "Oh yeah, you'll know where to find me. I'm in the Grindark Alley. I'm the bearded balding guy wearing a black hoodie," which of course was a joke by the fact that that's flood the area quickly. Get rid of the paint you just messed up. There we go. Which of course, yeah, is a joke that most people at the convention are, and most people, especially in the Grimdark hallway, are men in their 30s, slightly balding, with beards, wearing black hoodies, including myself. I guess I'm not slightly balding, but my hair is very short right now, so you couldn't tell. Except Fiverr, who is the one wearing pastel colors at the con. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. You let that dry for a second. I can bring Frankenberry Crocs to the Krong. The true punk among punks. Yes, yes. In the valley of the punk man, the pastel one is king. Alright, let's get, I think I got a little bit of gray on there I need to get still. There we go. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I like using my Sonic Tonic, which is, here's the recipe. Darktone, Reichland, and Lamian. For skin, because it kind of acts as a skin shade while also shading everything else. The problem is, I don't think that will work on Darktone skin. So what we're going to do, well, first let's I'm going to do his gun next or his skin next? Let's do the gun. Oh, wait, let's do the... Let's do the fixie here first. There we go. Fix the spots I over-gooped there. That's going to need another layer, that's fine. Oh, let's do, while we're waiting, get another layer on our Tomb King Tan. Something, Ozymandias, all the games are cute now. Yep, get another nice layer of Tomb King Tan. Every time you say Tomb King Tan and you're not talking about a Games Workshop property, a GW copyright lawyer loses a year of his life. So keep saying it over and over again. I'm kidding. Nope. That's okay. We're going to cover over that with metal anyway. Okay. All right. Oh, we got a little... It's hard to do that, right? Okay. Oh, for those of you who are on the previous stream and wondering about the fate of the wizard guy whose staff I broke, I have some metal epoxy that I'm going to use to put his staff back together because super glue was not cutting it. All right. Would a red las pistol be too Christmas? I don't think it would. Let's do a red las pistol because sometimes las pistol casings are red. Cool red. We've got Bloodthorn. That's kind of a pinkish. Actually, I don't really like that. For this, I like that color, but not for this. How about... Well, I've got non... Ooh, I know. Let's use this random red I have, and that I can't replicate. Haha! It's a sample from Avanti Art. Shake, shake, shake. This is even good. I got this at Adepticon last year, not this year, last year. Oh, I can't squeeze it because it's too small. I think it's just jammed. Oh, I got it. Okay. It looks like... Wow, okay, I think that's not going to work. I think that's going to be a really bright red. I think we're going to need to... That's a highlight red, not a base coat red. Okay, well, we need something base coated. Who do you call? You call Pro Acryl. Burnt red. Yeah, I got that baby bottle of paint for free. Because the guy at the Avanti Art booth would not stop talking to me. He seemed like a very nice man. And very excited about his paints. And I was like, The problem is that it's the booth. It was the booth that was sharing with the Scale 75 stuff. And over his shoulder the entire time was a chibi caricature of a kamikaze pilot from World War II. Portrayed about as elegantly, as sensitively as you might imagine. And, like, that's over his shoulder the entire time. And I just wanted to be like, yeah, I don't want to buy your stuff, though, bro. I didn't notice it until after I started talking to him. And, like, that wasn't his product, but, like, you know, guilt by association, I guess. Okay, so this is a nice deep red. It's probably a one-coat wonder red, actually, because it's so, covers so darn well. That's just the miracle of... Yeah, oh, that is like... Yeah, I don't remember if I shared that one. I know I did to the, server Jenna's in. Just like, hey, what the hell? And, like, I play Conflict 47. I am not going to sit here and say you can't make characters and things based on World War II. But something about, chibi fascist kamikaze pilot. Haha! He's going to commit suicide for the Emperor. Isn't that great? And yet, if I said that exact same thing about a Warhammer mini, we wouldn't really have a problem with it. So, yeah. But it doesn't feel... It feels a little different when it's like real people. I don't know. That's very much a your mileage may vary thing, right? The combination of the red and the green and the white means this looks very Christmas right now. But that's okay. We'll fix it in post. So, okay, again, that's a very dark red. And when we put the wash on, that will go down even further. So, we're going to... Well, first off, we're going to wait for it to dry before we do anything rash, Josh. Let's do his skin. And here's the problem. I don't know how to do African skin tones yet. I am still learning how to do that in a way. Like, I know there are tutorials. I've tried following them. I've never found one that I am satisfied with. So I've got onyx skin. I've also got... I've also keep bumping the microphone. For that, I apologize. Also got dark flesh. And I'm actually going to go with dark flesh because if you look at them, the dark flesh has a warmth to it. And I think that's what I'm missing, is a warmth, right? The brown he has right now doesn't look like skin brown. It looks like, leather brown, which is not how human beings look. So, let's try this. Science. Do I have my small brush? I do have my small brush, okay. Oh, well. To start with, before it's dried, that looks a lot like the gun. But acrylics dry down, aka they always dry darker, or usually dry darker. So trust the process. Get his face in there. Well. Okay. Here's the hard one, because I have to do this without getting it all over the white or the green. Oh, got it on the white. That's okay. And this especially is where it is very handy to have a paint that covers well, so I don't have to do this more than twice. Okay, as that's dried, that looks a lot more like a skin tone a human being actually has, right? Because it's got that warmth to it. Because skin tone is warm, because it is very literally has blood underneath it, right? Like, that's why your skin's warm, is your skin is partially transparent. No matter what skin color you have, it is partially transparent, and underneath there is blood. And that is why it's going to be a little red. There we go. All right, let's get up here. Okay. Now, I have no idea what the Sonic Tonic Wash will do to this skin. We'll find out. We'll find out together. I do have a Spotify tab over there open. I could play some stream music if that is something people would want. If me rambling is not quite. I always go back and forth on that. It's just, DMCA free, and then I have an ad blocker, so it's not going to be, display ads. I like that skin tone a lot, by the way. Will it make it? It will make it more blue. Oh, because blood is blue under the. Yeah, kind of. Blood's complicated like that. Believe blood is only really blue when it's in your arteries that is going out. It's kind of hits red once it's used, and that's where most of what's underneath your skin. Okay, well, if nothing else, even if I don't like anything else about this guy, I am really happy that I discovered how much I like this skin tone. Because I never used it before. At least not seriously. And, yeah, I'm a really big fan of that. Now, I'm going to have to figure out how to highlight it without ruining it. But you can always just put the base coat back, right? Like, if I... That was a joke on Sonic Tonic. Yeah! Hey, yesterday when I brought up Sonic Tonic, two different people asked if I had to milk Sonic the Hedgehog to get it. So maybe I should call it marine juice. Just so I don't have to have that in my brain. Okay. So let's get another red on his gun there. Let's try this Avanti Art Red. Yeah, that's really goopy. So this is related to Scale 75, and I don't like Scale 75 paints, like, at all. Oh, that is... Yeah, that is transparent. Okay, that's a different paint than I'm used to dealing with. Yep, no, I don't think I'm gonna like that. Yeah, okay, let's grab a different red. Like this one. Which is identical in color. And red is always going to be a transparent color, right? Like, that's not my complaint there. It's difficult to describe in visual why I don't like that, but it was, I think it's using the same gel medium that all Scale 75s use, and that I do not like about Scale 75s. And if that's the case, then I'm not going to like that paint. Not that it's a bad paint. I know people who use Scale 75 very well. But it's not for me. Oops. No, not oops. That was what I wanted to do. All blood is red. Okay, I will take your word for it. I am not a hematologist. In fact, I'm more of a hemophobist. I get queasy. Which is weird. Unless it's with my job, and then I'm fine. I work with animals, and sometimes they bleed and have blood on things, and I'm good. But with people, I'm not. That was supposed to be white. That's okay. I'll go back and fix the whites. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to gush about the skin tone again. I really like this skin tone. But man, does that skin tone dry. Oops, that was not the skin tone. That was that was the burnt red. That's okay. We'll put the skin tone on that. It'll still look good. All right, we're going to let you dry. That red gun makes him look very Christmas, but that's okay. It can look Christmas. While you're drying, let's bring you back out and do another layer of dew path. Dew path. Dew path mir. Dew path misgefargt. I don't know the actual words for dew hast, sorry. Never was a really big Rammstein fan. And my understanding is one of the lead singers did something really bad or something like that, so maybe it's good to not be a Rammstein fan. I don't know. Someone brings it up every time I mention it, or someone... Anyway. Okay, this is a... I like this better than the other teal I had because it's a little more muted. It's a little less wha-bam than the previous one. Okay, so this guy's actually kind of already ready. We can do a pass on his pants, and then we'll do a pass on his skin. So for his pants, that's clearly a lighter gray. What did I use for that, I wonder? Was it uniform gray? Well, that's why I have the swatch. Nope, clearly a little darker. I bet it was deep gray. We don't need much of it all, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit on my palette here. Yep, that was it. That was it. It was deep gray. Let's just get that up in there where I might have. And this guy, yeah, looks like he already has his boots done. Looks like he already even has the straps in his boots done. So I don't need to redo him. I am going to redo his boot leather with this ironclad gray again. I'll say it once. I've said it once, I say it again. I like this stuff for boots instead of pure black. Because it allows you to put something deeper on there. Whereas pure black, you can't go deeper than black. Just like you can't. It's like when people say you don't paint white by painting white. You paint almost up to white, and then you highlight it, because you try and paint pure white, you're gonna have a bad time. And you can't highlight it, and then it looks flat and wrong. There we go. And let's... Am I still good on focus? Please let me know if I'm not. Okay, there we go. Alright, so he's got that. He's got that. His, looks like I've got enough gray on his carapace thingy to be good. I think for him we're not going to do the speed paints. Let's go back to you. Get another layer of red on your gun. There we go. Look at how bright and beautiful that is. There's your pop color for him, is the red gun. So sometimes the pop color can be on something besides the mini itself. It can be on his weapon or a shield. It's where's your eye going? And the eye going to the weapon is not a bad thing. Okay, alright. So, are there any skin spots I missed I need to redo? I don't think so. Oh yeah, I gotta redo the where I used burnt red instead of the skin tone there. And then over here. One of the other things that a wash does is it can cover up some of the sins in between the lines. So at the spots where I didn't get quite clean as much as I wanted to, like where it meets right there, a wash will help cover that up. And you could get good and not have to worry about that. I could. And maybe someday I will. I don't mean to be dismissive and say there's no point in getting better. I'm going to try and get good later. But not right now. Or rather, I am going to try right now, but, you know. Hey, let's put some Dewpath on. Ooh. What time is it? It's 2:21. Okay, so we've got about 40 minutes left. Because I do have to leave right at 3, because that's when Mitchell and I record our Sunday preview rundown. We can blather about Skaven and cities. I will be getting that box because I like Spearhead. I think I'll get that box. It's hard. I really like the Eshin models. And I like the cities models. I do not need another army for Age of Sigmar, considering I have not even painted the two I've got. There we go. Hey, knowing cover. See, this is part of good. Yeah, that's true. And as somebody who was born Catholic, I'm very good at knowing how to cover my sins. Hey, there you go. Remember, if you put it under a napkin, God can't see what you're eating. All right. So, let's put the metallics on so that they get washed too. The metallics that aren't the speed paint metallics. So we're going to do the grenades here, which I could do in army green, but it would be too visually confusing if I colored these according to their different colors. So they're just going to stay metallic. Same thing with the wrench there. And then his gogglies. So let's get a metal. We're just going to use a P3 metal that I've got sitting right here. He says, not knowing where he put it. There it is. Wacha. It just says cold steel. It's nothing special. It is a metallic. It is fine. It's better than the GW metallics, whom I tried using again on Marco over there. I was like, oh, I'll try using lead belcher. Surely it's not as bad as I remember it being. It is. It's as bad as I remember it being. It is exactly as bad as I remember it being. And I know there are people who get great results out of lead belcher. I don't know how they do that. I tried watering it down. It doesn't seem to do anything. Does it make it worse? But I've seen people do it, so I know it can be done. I'm just not one of those people, apparently. And let's hit the wrench here. Mostly because we got other colors on it, and we need to redo that. Alright, do I give him a gold belt buckle? Or just a silver belt buckle? We're going to go with silver because he's not fancy enough to have gold. He's a Hive Scum. He doesn't get a golden belt buckle. And let's do his little gogglies, which just kind of like blorp into the side of his hood. Like they didn't sculpt any kind of strap or anything. I think it just like, I guess it's supposed to be on the inside of the hood, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but whatever. I'm gonna say they magnetically attach to metal inside the hood. Oop, I got metal on his nose. That's okay. We can fix that right quick with little. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, and then we're going to wait for this guy to dry completely before I put the wash on, so I don't bugger that up. We're going to put the wash on before the speed paint metals. Well, no. No, you shouldn't do that. Okay, anyway, let's put the speed paint metals on. Alright, so I've got 3 speed paint metallics. I've got enchanted steel, broadsword silver, and polished silver. Polished silver is going to be the brightest. And tainted broadsword silver is going to be the darkest. So let's go with broadsword silver. I'm going to use my vortex mixer. Because these speed paints are very important to get these very, 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 very well shook. And that's what it's going to look like, because that is a white. I painted that guy white and then put the speed paint on it. So, I actually did all my speed and contrast paints first, because those are the ones that's really important to know what they'll look like over white. Because you can't just really put another coat on with those. Alright, so let's put this stuff on and see how this works. And this will determine if I use this for the rest of the metals in this gang or not. If I don't like the way it looks, I won't. If I do like the way it looks, I will. That being said, it's kind of more of a pain in the butt than just doing normal metals. So we'll come back with the red and cover that up. Okay, get that there. Get that there. There we go. Problem is, yeah, it is more effort to do this than just put on metals, in my opinion, because I think what it's designed for is that you primed everything white originally and then just slopped it on. So the idea of putting on whites to then put this on, I don't think is what they were going for. So, we're going to do a different metal. For the... Well, first we're going to do a different metal for the back of the handle. So we're going to use Talos bronze. Just to get some variety of the metals in there. Also helps with the cobbled together look, like he doesn't have a single cast flail here. He's got a flail with two different bits on it. And there we go. Now, I could use a bronze or a brass for the chest plate. And actually, kind of want to do that. No, wait, it'll blur with the red on the pistol. Never mind. So, let's use a slightly different metal, enchanted steel. I don't even think that looks that much different than the broadsword silver, but, you know. Let's try it. I mean, on the palette, sure doesn't look any different. But tap. Uh-oh. We'll have to see how that dries, but we may have run into an error where the metal just looks like the strap gray. Which, if that's the problem, well, just also realize there's a bit of skin there I missed. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Alright, now the moment of truth, the big part. The other problem with these is you do gotta make sure you don't miss anything, because if you do, it's bright white. So. Alright, and then, so he is base coated. We need to wait for him to fully dry before we slap on the Sonic Tonic. I always like that the torso, and that it is just a piece of metal they strapped to the chest. Yes, it's very Hive Scum. It's just, well, and it's got balls in it, which means it worked. Or he killed the guy who had it and picked it off of his corpse. Either way. By the way, this is the lady I was painting the other day. This is post-Sonic Tonic. I think she looks really good, personally. She's not highlighted yet, though, so she looks drab and dull. IMO, the Christmas allegations are easy to beat with silver medals and with gold ones. Yes, that is also that. Yes, gold would also look, you know. I look at this guy and I don't see Christmas right now, so I'm not worried about that. I feel like we beat the allegations just fine. Beat the allegations. The sentence you gotta worry about saying nowadays, lots of allegations running around. And by allegations, you know, emails that we actually just have, but anyway. Okay. Alright, while we're doing that, let's go back to you. You. No, wait, let's do a record scratch. Let's go back to bass. It's all about that bass. About that bass. No cello. We're going to try something that I've never tried before, but which is a staple of the genre, which is using a very, very, very light brown, super watered down to paint in rust effects. Now, I even bought yesterday while I was at the Warhammer store. I didn't get a lot. I got the convention exclusive, or the convention, the store exclusive models, and I got Scrag Brown. This is a staple of this. This is what I hear everybody use this for. However, after getting Scrag Brown and bringing it home, I realized that it is exactly pretty much this paint I already have. Sunburst Ochre. Like, I mean, yeah, they're not exactly the same, but I bet you once I do a swatch for this, it's pretty the same. So we're not even going to open this. We're going to use Sunburst Ochre. I'm going to flip our palette around to the other dirty side. We're going to get just a drop of this, and then we're going to water the absolute bejesus out of it. Just sloop, 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 sloop. And then just really just water the heck out of this. Just make it super thin. And then trying to basically get in here with some of the edges and stuff and paint some rust in. That actually might still be too thick. Oh boy, 2 cakes. Yeah, like, I'm not mad about getting Scrag Brown. But I'm not going to open it right now because I don't have a reason to open it. So, we're going to put this in the spots. And then the idea is that the capillary action draws it into where you want. That is a very convincing fresh rust, gotta say. I understand why people do this now. Yeah, this works. Now, I do also just have things I could use for this, like rust. But this is very orange. They're completely different, and you don't have a paint problem. No, I have a paint problem. I'm not even going to pretend I don't. Yeah, my only problem with this is a little... maybe not what I was going for. I was thinking something a little less fresh rust. So what we'll do... we can fix that, though. So let's grab... let's use this paint that I can't get anymore. I'm pretty sure that the version... wish I knew about those free minis of the month a few years ago, but I've always been pretty stoked picking them for a year to practice. Yeah, now that I have a local Warhammer store, because previously the one that was local, big air quotes, was 90 minutes away, and 90 minutes is a long time to drive, but especially when you have a 3D printer, you know? And I do. And I know that a lot of people don't. Safety pin! Narrator's note, I lost the safety pin. Safety pin, where did you go? Safety pin, Coon. There you are. Apologize for uttering the phrase safety pin, Coon, that you all had to hear with your own eyes, or ears, whatever. Let's get you... Oh, that is still cloggy as all clog. Unclog. Like, yeah, looking at that color, this is what I want, but... Oh! And then it kind of exploded. Okay. So this... Let's... Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, it's even got texture in there. Yeah, there we go. Because rust will collect... Rust collects where water collects. The clog struggle is real. Yes, Dr. Drybrush. And don't worry, Dr. Drybrush. We'll talk about you in just a second. By you, I mean drybrushing, not... Dr. Drybrush, MD. So yeah, I like this a little better. This is a little more what I was going for. Oops. You can just use your finger. So yeah, rust collects where water collects. And the thing about rust, and why I turned away from doing this kind of base, is that the problem with this kind of base is this is great for an environment where nobody's around. Because when people step and walk across surfaces, even if they're rusty, they wear away the rust. Unless they're, like, incredibly rusty. And, by the way, neither is wrong, to be clear. Neither of those is wrong. It just depends on how active you want your hive to be. If I was doing an abandoned hive, or, Hive Secundus, where it's, like, no one's really there anymore, then I would do this kind of rusty base. My medical expertise is gross. Grossly over-exaggerated. I tried painting the bases for my lock before attaching the mini and found out a paint to glue them. Yes, and that is why you'll notice these other guys are already painted on there. What I believe I did in that case is I actually pinned them, which you have to use a drill to drill down through. And that is kind of a pain in the butt. Because, yeah, you can't, like, plastic glue. Once you put paint on, if you put super glue on, you are just super gluing them to the paint. And you are relying on the good grace of that paint to hold it there for you. So, it's kind of two schools of thought on this. On the one hand, less is more. On the other hand, this is Necromunda, and everything should be rusted to hell, right? Like... So, there's my dead rust, my old rust, and now let's get some more fresh rust on top of. And the fresh rust is only going to be in the most recent spots, right? So, kind of sparingly put down. Also because it's orange and brightly colored. There we go. There we go. So, we're actually gonna... This is too symmetrical. Steinman. Something has to be done about symmetry. There we go. So, basically my logic here is that the top part is less rusty because people are stepping on that constantly. These bottom parts are more rusty because people don't step there and they don't wear away that rust. However, don't worry, we're going to undo some of our own work here in a second. I really just kind of am splotching on rust and then blending it in and watering it away. In the grimdark future, there is only rust. In the alternate hellscape where that game took off, that would be the rust would be the game everybody's trying to emulate. But I guess Rust was the game that was trying to emulate other games. I'm talking about the extraction shooter survival thing, Rust or whatever it was called. There we go. So you look at that. Now you've got a nice... But now you've still got definition on your base, right? Now, if I had more than 18 minutes, I would do Hazard Stripes. But I think we're going to have to save that for a different stream that will probably be called Hazard Stripe Stream. Hazard Stripes are not as hard as you think they are. However, I would not try Hazard Stripes on a base that already has a mini. I also don't put Hazard Stripes on everybody. Hazard Stripes are I use them very often as a champion or leader marker. Because A, it's kind of thematic because they're more dangerous, and B, those are who you put your time into. However, I bet I'll probably put Hazard Stripes on Woody. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry for just a little bit. I like the way this is turning out so far. Yeah. In the Grimdark, all of the Linux kernel has been ported over to Rust. You would make that joke, but I have... Unless the Primus campaign, then everything has a house surf go over every tile of courtyard daily, even while gang warfare erupts. Yes, and if you were doing a High Primus campaign, I think there would be a lot of opportunity to paint these in shiny metal. Or, well, not metal, because if they're being taken care of, they're painted, right? You don't leave bare metal out in the elements. Bare metal is a sign of this was thrown together quickly, or we had to get it out there, right? Same thing here. Bare shiny metal is, it wasn't painted and people walk over it constantly. I want this to dry. While you're drying, let's put some dark olive on its... Yeah, Butterfingers. Marble. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I keep interrupting myself. Yeah, if you're doing a High Primus terrain, like you could do marble floors or just, you know, everything really taken care of. And also, I've seen people do marble. I know that like people have ways to do marble that is not supposedly super hard. I've never tried it. That prospect scares me, which means I'll do it someday to make myself do it. Do. Okay. Question for the gentleman of the culture. Favorite tasting mini paint, Brandon, go. None of them. Don't eat your paints. Sorry, I'm an anti-paint eater, especially if it has cadmium in it. Heavy metal poisoning. Delish. It's not quite dry. And the next step is dry brushing, and somewhat thematically, if you're going to dry brush, you need to make sure your stuff's dry. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. So we'll go back to you. Okay, you got the blues. We got the shoes. We need to do the straps and the skin. And his one glove should probably be black and not brown to match the rest of his kit. So let's do skin. We're going to put down... We'll keep him Caucasian. The first thing we're going to put down is this layer of... This is my favorite base skin tone for Caucasian skin, which is Topaz Skin. It covers amazingly. It's basically Bugman's Glow, which I have a bottle of, or a pot of over there. I just don't want to get it out right now. But I like Topaz Skin because you put it on, and A, it covers, and B, it forms a wonderful basis. It's nice and dark. Sometimes you drink the coffee, sometimes you drink the paint cup. That's just the dice roll. I do have the not paint water Warhammer cup over there. But I don't use it for paint water because I feel like I'm invoking fate if I try that. The leaf blower's back. So yeah, this skin color will not be his final skin color. This is obviously way too dark. Or just, I guess it's not. It could just be someone's very ruddy skin. But to me, it doesn't look a lot like skin. Unless someone is very, like, it's not tanned. At least it's getting warm enough to work outside. Yes, yes. Oh no, leaf blower. Leaf blower coon. Alright, I'm going to end up redoing that glove anyway, so it's okay if I just slop over that. Now, I generally try to follow the principle of, like, paint from the bottom up, where you paint the lower parts, but sometimes minis don't make that easy. I don't know where this guy's head is from, but it's not Hive Scum. Don't forget his hand. Although I'm going to have to redo this hand because I'm going to have to do that mace. And that mace is clearly, you know, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, normally they say start with painting the skin, but if I do that here, yeah. It is what it is. It's fine. Little burr here that I didn't clean up when I first put the mini together. And I guess we're just going to leave that as an artifact of the time in which I put it. Like the Looney Tunes disclaimer. Oop. There we go. Okay. And then last... It doesn't look tan skin as in tanned leather, and you sneezed before. Keep reminding me that some people do look like that. Yeah. I might need a smaller brush for this part. I know I'm not on screen right now, but here we go. Get in there. It's the nice thing about these when you hook your brush like this with overuse over time. Sometimes it's handy. Like, yeah, now I can get in here and, like, paint the edge of his neck. There we go. Yeah, what are you from? Are you a guardsman head? I think that might be a guardsman head. Like an old guardsman head. But I don't know for sure. Being Scottish, I'm only familiar with bright red sunburn or alabaster white, yes. I mean, if we make her pale, she could be Scottish. All right. Okay, you're dry. So we're gonna dry brush that with a. We're actually gonna start by dry brushing with the color that was originally on there, warm gray. Get on. There we go. Okay. Where's a big dry brush? Big puffy dry brush. Oh, here we go. I do have a texture palette, Ninja texture palette I got with the Kickstarter for my wet palette. And if you're like, but you're not using your wet palette, correct? I'm lazy. I do use my wet palette, but not right now. So we're gonna. Really work it into the bristles there. We're going to use this to kind of brighten up the edges of things. Because the edges of things, rust doesn't collect on the edges of things. Rust, because water doesn't collect on the edges. The whitest white paint holds no comparison with the most tanned of Scotsmen. HGTVs have taught us too well how leathery a person could look. So the painting stream is a regular thing. Yes, it is now, if I can. I want to do it Sundays and Thursdays, basically. Just kind of a general hobby stream. Sometimes I might like want to put stuff together. I find that putting stuff together often doesn't make a good hobby stream because it's like it's not in focus, and also it's not really exciting. So I'll probably keep to painting. All right, so we've got that first dry brush layer on, and then we're going to put a slightly lighter gray. I've got for that Administratum gray, which you can see is kind of lighter. I don't know what the equivalent of this is from other paint lines. I think maybe Ash Gray is pretty close from Army Painter. But we've got Administratum here, so let's use it. Of course, this being a pot, we have to open the pot, take it out, put it on the palette, and then I've wasted paint, and just fixture pots, Games Workshop. I don't like them. Let's get this worked into the bristles. Someone else has some kind of new and exciting lawn mowing implement out there that I don't recognize the sound of. But I know it's a lawn mowing implement because it's annoying. All right, now this, we're going to even go a little lighter, and we're really just going to want to catch the edges. There we go. See how it's kind of catches those edges and make them lighter. That actually might be a little too subtle. You'll hear this from everybody who talks about dry brushing, but you know, you want to be careful not to go too overboard. Because you can always add more, but you can't take away from the dry brush. Yeah! I'm going to put down a little ash gray and see if that's any different. Nope, it looks identical. Okay, well now I know that ash gray and Administratum gray are the same thing. Or very close to each other anyway. Got about 6 minutes. Probably going to cut off more like at 2:57 or whatever, because I do have to swap my OBS over to A, not pick up video, and B, because we don't, you know, Mitchell records the video on his end. There we go. So this has kind of desaturated the rust as well. So I might actually like bring that back a little bit. And like that is not an exciting base, but that's okay. It's a base. It's not supposed to be. But I think that blends into the a little too unexciting, personally, because that's like, okay, you made a gray base. I wonder, can we go higher? Let's try something. Brigade Gray. A little bit there. Let's try going just the next step up on like just the absolute edges. Okay, and now, so that's painted metal, which means there's going to be unpainted metal. Which means I'm going to take my brightest silver, which I think is this plate mail metal. Can you take me higher? Creed. We're going to get a dab of that metal, and then we're just going to like, if this was not a base, you wouldn't even do this dry brush, you would edge highlight. To catch all the edges where on the very edges of the metal, it would be fresh metal. Because remember, if there's no fresh metal, there's no rust, right? Like, because that's what paint does, is keep the rust off. So this, you can't even really see it on camera. It's there, I promise. Barely. That gives it some metallic on the edge. And then, what I'm going to do, off stream, or maybe next stream, is we'll re-rust that, because Like, you can, because now, you know, you kind of deadened all the rust away, which is fine, but now it doesn't look super Necromunda. So now you want to go back to just the recesses and really just, like, get some more goop in there, like that, see? So maybe next time, instead of doing this after the dry brush, or before the dry brush, I'll do it afterwards. I think I just undid too much work there. Let's water that down. There we go. So I gotta figure out the process I like doing that. I have in my head what I want, but I don't know how to achieve it. And it's going to take practice. But that will be for another day, because I have to go record. So thank you all so much for joining me. I will be back on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll continue with the Hive Scum, or maybe something else if I have all the Hive Scum done. Who knows where my painting journey will take me. I am not... I follow my muse, so if my painting muse says, you do Hive Scum off camera, I'm going to do Hive Scum off camera. If you're not on our Discord, you can check out the link below if you want to come chat and post your stuff there. And I will see you on Thursday, I hope. Bye-bye.